Greetings, travelers, and welcome to episode 38 of WesteroScraft Walks with your ever-loving and trusting host, Dutchguard. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at the keep of House Lychester, situated in the Riverlands. To be specific, we've started on the northern edge of the Spiderwood, a very huge, long, and creepy forest stretching all the way from the Trident down to the town of Stony Sept. Now, this forest isn't specifically mentioned in the books, but we decided to add it because in one of the characters' point of views, she and the Brotherhood Without Banners travel all the way from Lord Lychester's keep, where we are now, down to the town of Stony Sept, and it's described as being a very foresty, wooded area, so we decided to put in this very large, detailed, and cool forest to explore. And we've got all these custom trees around us here of all kinds of different sizes, and we've also got all kinds of different Easter eggs along the road here. We've got on the right here sort of a burned down shed, which I saw earlier, and it sort of looks like this old hunter's lodge or something like that, perhaps a little farmer's cottage. And on our left here, we've got some graves, which is probably as a result of the attack on that poor little shed. Of course, this area of the Riverlands is being terrorized by Sir Gregor Clegane the Mountain, who is sent by the Lannisters to go and punish the Tullys and the common folk of the Riverlands for Catelyn Stark's actions, which you'll know of if you've read Game of Thrones. And it is, of course, in retaliation of the Mountain's actions that Ned Stark sent Beric Dondarrion to go and chase down, capture, or kill the Mountain. And it was, unfortunately, when Ned Stark met his demise that Beric Dondarrion took his forces and created sort of this rebel force, this sort of Robin Hood and his band of merry men, if you will, to go and protect the common folk from the terrors of the Mountain. And so that's a really cool sort of subplot going on throughout A Song of Ice and Fire, which is where this build sort of comes from. Beric Dondarrion and his forces, or rather, no, he's away at this point, but his forces come and meet Lyman Lychester here, who's the lord of the keep of the Lychesters. And they come here just to ask him for some details and things. And just as we're crossing this bridge, this is one of the few little bits of detail we know about Lyman Lychester. He fought a knight called Sir Maynard upon this bridge to defend his lands, and took 6 wounds before killing Sir Maynard. And but he survived, and he goes on to live in this keep. And he had 6 sons, all of whom fought during Robert's Rebellion, and all of whom died during Robert's Rebellion, fighting for both sides of the conflict. And so all that remains is Lord Lyman living in this very decrepit-looking keep in a state of disrepair. And I just love sort of the way that the builder here created this very atmospheric and cool landscape around the keep. Very creepy. We've got some dead trees here. We've got lavender growing in these fields as well, some dead shrubs, and all kinds of weeds growing around, along with some bushes and things. And they've sort of cleared this area of trees so that the defenders can see their oncoming attackers from a distance, so they don't have anything to hide behind for any archers that might be defending the keep. So we're just going to follow this road up to the keep now, take a look. You can see sort of the sandstone mixture of different kinds of gradients here going up and down the keep. I do love sort of some of the burned remains of parts of the keep there. And we also got sort of the ruins of a little shed here on our left, which is starting to be overgrown by parts of the vegetation here. And just going up this road here, we'll see some of what looks like to be the ruins of an outer wall. But we've still got a ladder going up here for archers perhaps to defend. This would be a great place for sort of a team versus team sort of defending and attacking sort of match, which is something we'll probably hope to do in the RPG. We've also got what looks like a hanging tree over there, sort of a dead tree with some rope hanging off of it. What would a creepy build be without sort of a hanging tree? So there you go. So we are on the lower part of the keep. Now, I just absolutely love the style of this keep, sort of the sparse furnishing and sort of the impoverished-looking state of this keep all adds to that atmosphere. You know, it's not crammed full of stuff, like the builder here didn't try to put in a lot of detail. Instead, they relied a lot on the blocks and the textures and sort of the bits and pieces that are coming off the walls, like you can see here. And I also really love the realistic thickness of these walls. It's almost 3 meters thick, which would be sort of, you know, a standard size of thickness for most medieval keeps that we have in the real world. And they're end with these beautiful little arrow slits used, of course, for defending defending the castle. And I just absolutely love sort of the bare minimum, but yet, you know, close attention to detail that that there's been that put in here. God, I can't find my words. Anyway, so we have to go back outside and follow this little wooden ramp up to the first floor of the keep, and this is the Great Hall. It's not so great, but we've got a nice little shield there, and sort of this ancient-looking painting of perhaps a battle fought by House Lychester at one point. Of course, there are lots of houses in Westeros that once were great and had great acclaim, but then fell into poverty and disrepair because they either fought for the wrong side in a battle or in a war, or were attacked by forces beyond their control, just like in today's day, or in our present timeline, where Sir Gregor Clegane probably fought Lord Lymond in his lands, and he's sort of suffering for it. But anyway, here we are. This is sort of the main room of the keep here. We've got sort of the Lord's bed here. We've probably also got a little maester's chamber. We know that there's a maester living here as well. And then I noticed before in this great hearth, we've got this cool little secret room with a secret little chest, perhaps full of the remaining riches of Lord Lychester. I just love the sort of bare minimum details, again, like I said, and we've got sort of this wattle fencing covering the outer windows of this keep here, and we've got sort of the interior materials matched with the exterior materials, and I've said this before, but you can always tell the skill of a builder by looking at their ceilings, and I just think, you know, the ceiling is quite simple when you look at it at face value, but it's got all this interesting sort of detail. It uses still all the same sort of colors of textures, but still uses these sort of fence blocks to create a kind of depth and architectural structure to the ceiling, which I think is really cool. It took me a while to actually find the stairs up to the top of the keep, but eventually I found them sort of on the side of this window here. And just coming up here, we're now on top of the roof of the keep, but I think this actually used to be another level of the keep. As you can see, there's sort of a little hearth here. And it must have just been destroyed in one conflict or another. And you've got these beautiful views out around the lands of the Lychesters around here. That's sort of where we came in down there. And yeah, you can even see some weeds growing up to the top here. And we're just going to head up upstairs, and we're going to find our way to the very top of the keep. And here we are. So you get a nice little view of the surrounding area. You can see sort of why I wanted to do this at night. You can see just sort of the colors really suit the darkness. It looks a bit like a ghost in the daylight if you see this build during the daylight. So I highly encourage you to check it out. You can see the colors there of House Lychester flying proudly, still waving in the breeze after all these years. And I just love as well sort of the vegetation that someone managed to sneak its way up here. It's quite cool. Anyway, guys, so that is our build for today's episode. It's one of my favorites. I highly encourage you to check it out. Just /warp Lychester or House Lychester to get there. So thank you very much. That was episode 38, and I will see you next time for episode 39.